Around 2014, there were dozens of articles released within a couple of hours from each other, decrying that gamers are dead, gamers are over. Gamers don't have to be your audience if you're a game developer. And it was quite interesting because at the time I really didn't understand what they meant. I wasn't into identity politics, so I was thinking that they're just attacking their readers, that all of these journalistic outlets are, for some reason, targeting the people that are reading the websites. And now I actually understand what it meant. It was destroying the identity of a gamer, the idea that you're part of this community where everyone is welcomed as long as people play video games. As long as they're passionate about games, you're welcomed. And the game journalist press, they hated this. They didn't want this because the idea of a gamer is an anonymous person. It's someone from behind the screen that you don't know anything about. Race doesn't matter, gender doesn't matter, sexual orientation doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that they're a gamer. They're playing video games. And this identity had a couple of shared experiences. We were all told by our parents that we're playing too many video games. We need to go outside and play. Other women and popular men would tell us that you need to stop playing games. When are you going to grow up? Because video games are for children. Some of us even got bullied at school for being gamers. And I remember one of the ways we would make friends when I was a kid would be to ask around school and see who else plays video games, and that would probably be your friend because there was no one else that played video games. It wasn't that many people. So it created this strong and tight-knit community. It brought people together like never before. I mean, I grew up in a very diverse neighborhood in Romania. And one of the friends that I had was a gypsy. And his parents didn't want him to play with me because I wasn't a gypsy. And this was quite common. Like you would have these ethnical grievances among people. But when we went to the arcade, everyone was friends. Like all these ethnical grievances, all of these things would go away, and everyone was focused on playing video games at the arcade. And I think this is like what video games do. They bring people together. When I played World of Warcraft, I had in my guild a Romanian woman, a housewife, who owned a chain of hotels in Constanța. Another guy that was from Saudi Arabia, another guy that was also from the Middle East, and then I had a Greek person, and people from all over the world with different backgrounds, different walks of life, different incomes, and they were all there together to play World of Warcraft. Like politics didn't matter, nothing mattered except just going to a raid and taking down that world boss. And I think the gaming community was quite united back then. They were ignoring all of these other boxes that the progressive left wants to put people in, and they were just gamers. And this was a problem for the gaming press. This was a problem for corporations as well, because it's kind of difficult to do marketing when the community is united. Where if you piss some people in the community, you have like the community against the company, the community against the corporation. They didn't like that. So what they had to do was to make sure that the community is fighting with each other, that they're at each other's backs, and you have the community now having like different factions and they're fighting with each other rather than looking at the corporations that are pushing microtransactions on them, that are pushing de novo on them, that are doing all these shady tactics and constantly increasing prices and finding new ways to milk the consumer, which could be done if the gamers don't exist as an identity anymore. And now it's not gamers, it's, oh, I am from Reset Era and I have my politics. You don't like The Last of Us, you're literally Hitler. And I think that's what they meant when they said gamers are dead, gamers are over. Like they tried to destroy the identity of a gamer. And if you look at it now, you look at E3 or you look at any sort of presentation, they go out of their way to avoid using the word gamer. They will say consumers, they will say players, They will say people who like gaming. I mean, who uses that? Who uses people who like gaming? I think like at the last Ubisoft presentation, they said like this is for people who like it. Who calls themselves that? Like they're going way off the rails just to avoid saying the word gamer. And it's a sad thing what happened, in my opinion, because yeah, the gamer identity it did tighten it, and they also use critical theory on it. It's like, well, what is a gamer, you know? And by their definition, if you play one video game, you're a gamer. Like that's how they started saying. It's like if you play Candy Crush 1 hour a week, you're a gamer, and that's not what gamer used to mean. It's like a person that identifies as such because it's a hobby. You know, like if I go fishing once a year, that doesn't make me a fisherman. If I play tennis once a year, that doesn't make me a tennisman. Like I would think gamers are people who make time to play video games out of a passion, while you know people who just find time to play a game now and then, they're not really gamers. But like you know, they try to put it in everyone, you know, and then talked about all these social grievances and all this nonsense that really didn't exist before. And not to mention, like, because gamers would constantly use the word with an F and ends with a T and makes Carlos Maza Olapati, you know, because they would use these words, they literally consider that gamers are homophobic or whatnot. Even though, like, gamers constantly talk about fucking your mom over Xbox, that doesn't mean that these are Chad people that are managing to take MILFs left and right, nah? And like it was just a slang, it was just a language that people used. Doesn't mean that the gamers were homophobic or nonsense, but there were a lot of gay people that were gamers. But it was like overblown, over exaggerated. Every word, every single thing that they would find, it's like, oh look, this is evidence of racism in gaming. This is evidence of sexism in gaming. And a lot of people got wealthy over these grievances, over these grifters that wouldn't exist if the identity of a gamer was preserved, that everyone was anonymous, no one cares who you are, you know, no one cares where you're from, no one cares about your sexual identity. All they care about is whether you like to play games and how good you are. Yeah. And you know, like they also constantly, I guess, they would consider that half of the gamers are women, and they would ignore the fact that studies show that women mostly play phone games and Facebook games. And they would start to like they would ignore the fact that there's a market and it's spread on different demographics, age groups, gender, and they would consider that in order for women to play games that are mostly targeted to teenage boys, like a 60-year-old man wouldn't necessarily play that game. But they would consider that if you change the game somehow and make it more appealing, women will join. And what it ended up happening, like women didn't join after the change happened, but that game would also lose some of its core fan base. Like Mass Effect Andromeda is a good example. And they had like these bad business decisions which ended up destroying companies, crashing the stock market when it comes to video games, pushing titles that killed franchises, and all of this was done because of ideological reasons. You know, it's kind of sad looking back at the hobby and what it used to be, and compare it to what it is now. Like, they would never complain about Candy Crush. Did you notice that? Like, they would never complain about games like Cut the Rope or other games or like Bejeweled in order to say, oh yeah, we need to make Bejeweled more inclusive. We need to raise the participation of men that play Bejeweled. And in order to change this, we have to make the following changes. You know, like put some titties there. Put some titties in Bejeweled to make teenage boys like it more. And, you know, have like an equal... They didn't care about that. Yeah, no, it's very interesting. But anyway, this is what I wanted to say. And this is why the gamer identity had to die. And next time you watch E3 or next time you watch any sort of presentation, just notice how they avoid using the word gamer. They're avoiding it like the plague. Like they're making absolutely sure they're not uttering it. They will make even words that no one uses just to not say the word gamer. So anyway, I will see you guys in the comment section. And if you like this channel, please share it around. I know it's a new channel, not a lot of people watch it. And if you like me to talk about the particular subject, let me know. Initially, I wanted to make this channel to make game reviews and talk about video games, but unfortunately, because of the pandemic, there haven't been that many games, so there's not much I get to talk about. But anyway, take care, and I'll see you in the comment section, as I mentioned before.